Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into the latest on Gaza. Hamas seems open to a ceasefire, but Israel's leader Netanyahu says there's no room for Hamas in post-war Gaza. With ongoing conflicts and international mediators stepping in, the situation remains tense and complex. Over 57,000 lives lost, and the humanitarian crisis deepens as both sides hold firm to their demands. Next, we turn to U.S. trade news. President Trump announced a new trade deal with Vietnam, including tariffs of 20% on U.S. goods and 40% on transshipped products. This deal aims to boost market access for American companies while adjusting tariffs, marking another step in Trump's ongoing trade negotiations. And finally, in the entertainment and legal world, Diddy was acquitted of major charges like racketeering but found guilty of transporting women for prostitution. The case has sparked lots of debate about legal battles, celebrity, and justice. Plus, some political and media stories are making headlines, showing just how lively today's news landscape is. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed updates. The Toronto Star reports that Hamas and Israel are positioning themselves ahead of imminent negotiations on a ceasefire, with Hamas expressing a willingness to reach an agreement while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu firmly states that there will be no place for Hamas in Gaza's future. Despite President Donald Trump announcing that Israel had agreed to a 60-day ceasefire with conditions, both sides remain non-committal, highlighting the deep-rooted disagreements over the war's end. Hamas emphasizes its readiness to end the conflict and even considers releasing hostages if Israel withdraws completely from Gaza, whereas Israel demands Hamas's surrender, disarmament, and exile, making a peaceful resolution elusive. The ongoing violence has devastated Gaza, with over 57,000 killed and millions displaced, while diplomatic efforts continue amidst the backdrop of intense military strikes and humanitarian crises. CNN underscores the renewed international push for a ceasefire, with U.S. President Trump advocating for an imminent truce as Netanyahu prepares to discuss the proposal with his cabinet. The proposed deal involves a 60-day ceasefire, partial Israeli withdrawal, and the release of some hostages, though details remain vague. Netanyahu's stance has shifted, now prioritizing the rescue of hostages and the destruction of Hamas rather than the complete eradication of the group, which he previously vowed. Hamas, meanwhile, demands an end to hostilities, international humanitarian aid managed by the United Nations, and Israel's withdrawal to pre-attack positions, refusing to relinquish its political and military control in Gaza. With over 57,000 casualties and the territory in ruins, the war's toll continues to mount, complicating prospects for peace and prolonging a humanitarian crisis that leaves Gaza's population in dire straits. The Associated Press details the tragic human toll of the conflict, including the death of Gaza's largest hospital director, Dr. Marwan Sultan, in an Israeli strike. The war, which began with Hamas-led attacks on southern Israel and the taking of hostages, has resulted in widespread destruction across Gaza, displacing over 90% of its population and deepening the humanitarian crisis. Despite the ongoing violence, some diplomatic openings are emerging, with mediators from Egypt and Qatar working to bridge gaps between the conflicting parties. However, the fundamental disagreements over the war's resolution, particularly Hamas's refusal to disarm and Israel's insistence on Hamas's destruction, remain unresolved, casting doubt on whether a lasting ceasefire can be achieved soon. The conflict's toll continues to rise, with hospitals overwhelmed and civilians caught in the crossfire, emphasizing the urgent need for a diplomatic solution. The Washington Post reports a significant legal and political clash unfolding over the authority of President Donald Trump concerning the independence of federal agencies. The Trump administration has petitioned the Supreme Court to dismiss 3 Democratic members of the Consumer Product Safety Commission, who were reinstated after being unlawfully fired by Trump. The administration contends that the president holds the power to remove independent agency board members, citing a 2020 Supreme Court ruling that expanded presidential authority. However, the commission's structure, established in 1972, was designed to ensure partisan balance and independence, complicating the administration's efforts to exert control. This legal battle threatens to revisit the landmark 1935 Humphreys executor ruling, which protected the independence of certain federal agencies from presidential removal without cause, raising profound questions about the balance of power between the executive and independent agencies. Meanwhile, CNN highlights President Trump's announcement of a new trade deal with Vietnam, a move that underscores his aggressive approach to economic diplomacy. Trump proclaimed the agreement on social media, claiming Vietnam would impose tariffs of 20% on goods entering the U.S. and 40% on transshipped products, while the U.S. would grant Vietnam total market access, with zero tariffs on American exports. This deal, part of a series of recent trade agreements, marks a strategic effort to bolster economic ties and reduce tariffs that had been among the highest on Vietnamese goods. Vietnam, a key trading partner, had seen its exports to the U.S. soar to $137 billion last year, reflecting a rapid increase in trade volume. The announcement signals a significant shift in trade policy, emphasizing reciprocal access and tariff negotiations amid ongoing global economic negotiations. Nikkei Asia further contextualizes Trump's trade initiatives, emphasizing the broader implications of the Vietnam deal. The U.S. aims to secure expansive market access for American companies while reducing tariffs, which Trump claims will facilitate total access to Vietnam's markets. The agreement, if finalized, would represent a major victory in Trump's trade strategy, offering American firms a more favorable environment in Southeast Asia. The promise of zero tariffs on U.S. products in exchange for Vietnam's market openness highlights a strategic push to reshape trade dynamics in the region. As negotiations continue, the deal exemplifies Trump's focus on leveraging tariffs and trade agreements to enhance U.S. economic influence, signaling a shift toward more assertive trade policies that challenge traditional multilateral frameworks. CNN reports that Sean Diddy Combs has been acquitted of the major charges of racketeering and sex trafficking after a grueling 2-month trial, during which over 30 witnesses provided emotional testimonies. Despite the acquittal, he was found guilty of transporting women for prostitution, a charge carrying a maximum of 10 years in prison. The prosecution accused Combs of orchestrating a criminal enterprise over 2 decades, involving sex trafficking, kidnapping, drug offenses, and forced labor, all under the umbrella of racketeering, a complex pattern of illegal activities designed for profit, often linked to organized crime. The case also involved the Mann Act, which prohibits transporting individuals across state lines for prostitution, a federal law that further complicated his legal battles. Combs, a Grammy-winning artist, has consistently denied all allegations, including around 80 sexual assault lawsuits dating back to the 1990s, maintaining his innocence throughout. The potential for a presidential pardon has been hinted at by Donald Trump, though no formal request has been made. The verdict highlights the intricate nature of racketeering laws, which encompass a wide array of criminal acts such as drug trafficking, human trafficking, and other organized crimes affecting interstate commerce. The Independent highlights the ongoing fight for press freedom and justice amid the controversial settlement between Paramount and Donald Trump, which saw the media giant pay $16 million to settle a baseless lawsuit over a 60 Minutes interview editing controversy. Fox News' Charlie Hurt frames this settlement as a victory for the little guy, celebrating it as proof that individuals can challenge the system and win, especially when it involves fighting against what he perceives as a corrupt media establishment. Hurt emphasizes Trump's fearless approach to confronting the media and claims that the settlement, which includes a victory for transparency with the promise of full interview transcripts, symbolizes a David versus Goliath battle, portraying Trump as a champion fighting against powerful institutions. Meanwhile, critics, including the Freedom of the Press Foundation, condemn the settlement as a blow to First Amendment rights, arguing that it undermines journalistic integrity and could lead to legal issues for Paramount. The media coverage reveals a deep political divide. Fox News celebrates what it sees as a triumph for individual resistance against the system, while The Independent underscores the broader implications for press freedom and the potential risks of corporate settlements in politically charged cases. The Independent reports that members of the U.S. House of Representatives, from both parties, rushed back to Washington, D.C. after the Senate passed President Donald Trump's One Big, Beautiful Bill, a sweeping legislative package that includes significant cuts to Medicaid, increased financial burdens on states for food assistance, and the extension of 2017 tax cuts, all amid intense political pressure from Trump to secure its approval before the July 4th holiday. The urgency prompted a flurry of logistical efforts, with Republican Representative Nancy Mace traveling in a van from South Carolina, Democratic Representative Raja Krishnamurti undertaking a 14-hour drive after a canceled flight, and other members like Representative Derek Tran and Representative Mark Pocan resorting to driving or early flights to ensure they could participate in the critical vote. The bill narrowly passed the House last month, partly due to the unfortunate loss of 3 Democratic members, and faced a contentious Senate marathon vote that ended 51-50, with Vice President J.D. Vance breaking the tie. Despite the bill's passage, it drew criticism from many House members, including Representative Chip Roy, who acknowledged the Senate's failure with the bill, and concerns from Republicans about the potential adverse effects of Medicaid cuts on their constituents. As the House prepares for a final vote, the political atmosphere remains tense, reflecting the deep divisions and high stakes surrounding this comprehensive legislative effort. Associated Press reports that the Trump administration is withholding certain air defense missiles and weapons from Ukraine, including Patriot missiles, precision-guided GMLRS, Hellfire missiles, and howitzer rounds, citing concerns over depleted U.S. stockpiles. This pause in shipments, part of a broader re-evaluation of military aid, aims to balance supporting Ukraine's defense against Russian attacks with maintaining U.S. military readiness amid ongoing global conflicts, such as the recent Israel-Iran ceasefire brokered by Trump. Critics like Ohio Democrat Marcy Kaptur argue that these vital systems, including Patriot platforms, are crucial for Ukraine's defense and that withholding them could jeopardize lives, especially after Ukraine faced one of its largest air assaults since the war began. The review also affects other weaponry like AIM-7 Sparrow missiles, Stinger missiles, and AT-4 Grenade launchers, raising alarms about the potential impact on Ukraine's ability to counter Russian strikes. This decision comes amid broader U.S. military actions in the Middle East, including recent missile defenses against Iran and retaliatory strikes, highlighting the complex balancing act of U.S. foreign aid and military strategy during a period of heightened global tensions. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Turn the lights on screen. What's the latest scene? Just you and me, laugh and disagree. On the couch we sit, talk about the hits, news and bits, chat through all the fits. 6-degree chess. Gotta talk about that. Blind crazy chat. Share where we're at. From the weather change to the world's big stage, everything's fair game under our spotlight's flame. Grab a coffee quick, get your hot takes thick. We're here to mix and pick, every topic's our flick. 6-degree chess.